They are, they are Muslim.
Yes.
They are Muslim, but the Muslim, there was different traditions, because before it was a shamanism.
Yeah.
Yes, and the people, they very open for a simple for nature.
Uh-huh.
And it's not strict with mind.
Yeah.
No, yes, good, bad. No, it's people very very meditative. Just that interesting. The people in this village, they think they better don't make activity. It's better for a life, for earth, than something do it new, the fabric and the rods, and the people, they think that better for this existence. Maybe I select some information. I trust for my experience. This is for me. I found it's very important, because if I lost myself, and somebody very more clever, like more intelligent, have a lot of like logical, rational thinking, and if he's explaining me about, but I think it's everybody have to make own choice, because the better listen, how I understand, better listen your intuition inside.
So they have changed when you were a little girl. Were you raised Muslim? Was your grandmother?
No, we don't. I don't go to the mosque. It was like Muslim. Yes, maybe it's yes, but it's soft, very soft.
Yeah.
No, the first, it's the very important fact that I grew up in the Soviet Union. There no religion. No religion.
Wow. Oh,
Soviet.
yes. Right.
Yes, no religion.
Okay.
That's no. The first, no.
Yes. And when you were young, did you believe in an external God, or another kind of the more common?
No, I did never believe it, although I was educated like this. So I was thinking, there was always a big eye watching you, but I could not believe it. Something like that.
So have your beliefs changed from when you were little to now?
No, I still don't believe.
Yeah, so they're the same.
Yeah, but I will never talk about it like a belief system, but I get more understanding of the world, and why people believe I can also understand, but for me, I don't believe in an external something.
And your background religion would be?
Roman Catholic.
And when you were part of that, did you believe in basically their belief system?
No, I didn't believe.
Okay.
I was just playing the game.
So from the beginning you felt that way?
Yeah.
It never changed?
No.
Okay.
No.
Thank you. Do you believe in a heaven or hell?
No.
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 Well, I brought up like that. I think I had to, because I had on school everybody, but the teachers are telling us about it. And grandmother was, of course, a strong believer. Mom is a strong believer. But well, I'm a little cynic, I think.
So, do you think your beliefs have changed?
Yes, certainly. They certainly have.
Okay. Now that you're an older person.
Sure, I got riper. Of course, I started to ask different questions, and in the beginning was more like these little nice stories you were told, and all they were just stories, and you were just following that stuff a bit. But it's not that I was thinking too much behind it, but later you start thinking for yourself, and that what changed. Before I wasn't probably thinking too much.
Yeah, I think, yeah, because I think mom and dad were a bit religious, not so very, but then you get those things, yeah, they give you those things in life, so at first you try to, yeah, how do you say? Well, we went to church sometimes and things like that, but how older I got, how more I thought, no, that's not my thing. So the belief went different. How do I say? Sometimes it's...
You think your beliefs have changed since you were a young boy?
No.
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 Okay.
Yes.
And what religion was that?
That was a kind of Calvinistic religion.
Okay.
Yes, Calvinistic, Protestant church.
And
But I wasn't officially taken into this church. I was just on a Christian school, and we had our Bible lessons, and I had to learn psalms and singings about God, and so I was raised in Christian culture, but not Catholic.
did you believe in God when you were a young boy?
Yes.
And what
I did.
have those beliefs changed now as an adult?
Just thinking about things. When I got older, it started when I was about 16, 17 years old. I was getting my doubts about what I learned at school about religion, and hearing from other religions, I thought it cannot be true that the religion I learned is the only true, and all the other people in the world are wrong. I thought this is not possible. And I think we all have a part of the truth, but not any belief has the whole truth, I think.
Child, did you believe in
Yeah,
God?
it was. I'm a Dutch Protestant, so from nature I've been taught to be, but it stopped rather a long time ago. But I went to church a long time. I played piano in the church for several years. But I didn't believe in a God. I liked the companion of the people, but the companionship. I don't believe in a God.
And when did that change for you?
I think when I was about 25, 30 years, I think I didn't believe very well in it before that time, but when I was 25, 30, I said, well, it's over now. It's passed away.
Well, I went to a Catholic convent school.
Okay.
So we had religious instruction from nuns who told us about the covenant, and we studied the Old Testament and all that sort of thing. And I attended church and made my first Holy Communion and all that sort of thing. So I've been involved, but I mean, my mother was never strict, or she was just a very good role model.
And do you remember when your beliefs changed?
Well, I was still quite young. I think because I found the world so unfair, and I thought that we shouldn't rely on some other life or some other being, but we should rely on ourselves and others to change the world, and not wait for the good hereafter, but try and make maybe heaven on earth.
What religion was that?
Oh, Christian, Protestant,
Uh-huh.
yeah.
And when you were a child, did you believe in God?
Yeah.
And have those beliefs changed from where you are now?
In basic, not, I think. I mean, it changed in details, but the basis is still. I think that essentially I'm still believing as I did as a child, so it didn't change so much.
I did, yeah, because you know when you're little and they tell you you have a guardian angel, and I really believed I had a guardian angel. And in the winter, when it was very cold in our house, we didn't have central heating, so we didn't have heating in the bedroom. And when I was sleeping, and I went to go to sleep, and I was 6 or 7, then we get a hot water bottle in our bed, and I always made a little space warm for my guardian angel.
That's so wonderful. Oh, that's really
yeah. Yeah.
Oh. So have your beliefs changed from when you were young to now?
Yeah, they do, because I think in this society everything is so much arranged and thought through that it's almost impossible to believe in a God. Sometimes I thought, well, it would be nice if we didn't know everything, you know, that we don't know everything how it's happened. So maybe then it's easier to believe. And I sometimes envy people who do believe so strongly, because for me it doesn't feel right at this, you know, sometimes it's very difficult. Maybe I can say I want to believe, but logical, well, then it's difficult. I hope I can explain a little.
That's right.
And if I would have asked you this question 10 years ago,
10 years ago, so that would have
or maybe 20 years ago was easier for you.
20 years ago.
I just want to know if it changed, because as you don't know at this moment what you believe, and why don't you know it? Because now you're about 50, so you should have an opinion, because you have an opinion about most things.
Ah, yes. I don't think my ideas have changed that much in 10 or 20 years about God. I think I grew up very religious, and I realized that the idea of the Christian God didn't make sense to me.
And did you ever believe in God? Because when you were young, very young, did you believe in God? And at what moment didn't you believe anymore? What made you doubt?
When I was young, I definitely believed in a God, and I guess as I grew older and saw these very dogmatic religious right people, I just thought, how can they make these assumptions about an entity? You know, they draw these conclusions of, oh yes, you know, God likes this and God, and then I thought, really no one, if there is an entity out there like this, no one really knows. And I hope perhaps that when you die, it's revealed to you what the whole story is. But I think that great assumption, and I think what led me to realize that I don't know is how much conflict in the world over interpretations of God, and I realize that everyone claims that their God is right, and to me it's created so many problems in the world, and also separation, and I feel that if there was a more intelligent being, it would not support this kind of behavior.
Veranderd sinds je kinderjaren?
Ja.
Ja, heel erg.
Ja?
Ja, in je kinderjaren ging je altijd naar de kerk toe en je geloofde voor 100%. Absoluut. Ja, hoe lang weet ik niet, tot 20 jaar, tot 30 misschien. Maar ja, dan wordt je leven zo tumultvol. En dan, nee, het zal wel niet. Ik weet het niet meer. Twijfel.
Yes, I'm Christian, and I have also crows. When I was small, we have how to say, every child born, then he must go to church, Christian church, and then they got, I don't know. So I have the crows actually, yeah.
And then did you believe in God?
No, not really. Yeah, my old Oma, it's grandmother. She is really a religious person. She believes in that, but myself, not really. No.
Yeah, when I was a child, sure, I was thinking God is looking to me and so on. The normal Catholic way, yeah. Bad and good, and the bad and the good. The shitty.
So those beliefs, have they changed now since you're an adult?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, since my 8 years.
And what religion was that?
Catholic.
Uh-huh. And are your beliefs, you believed in God then as well, I guess?
Yeah.
Is it the same as you believe now?
Yeah, and now I think is more. I have more information. I'm more strong that God is real and the life has a beginning. And the beginning, I think, is God.
Wonderful.
Grandparents were very religious, so my grandfather was taking me to the church. But then when I was becoming older, I just, for me, church was boring, and I preferred to just do it myself.
Have your beliefs in God changed since you were a little girl to now?
Yeah.
And in what ways?
When I was a little girl, I just thought that, God can do everything, and everything was bad. God will just make it good for me. But now I just think that it depends from me. Not, it just His power is not so big as I was a little girl. That's it.
When you were a child, did you believe in a being like that?
Yes, I think probably but believe. I think believe is probably the wrong word. It's having more of a feeling for a sense that there was some kind of consciousness that outside myself that was benign.
And do you think that those feelings have changed where you are now?
I think they've developed and they haven't. They've grown and they've become clearer. It's been a process of clarification, one could say, and that continues. So I wouldn't dismiss my early beliefs, but I think they've developed, they've matured, hopefully, and I mean, these days I think my way my thoughts work and the patterns that I see are more aligned to a more Buddhist view of the world than maybe a standard Orthodox Christian belief. So, yeah.
Well, my parents were not in the church, and they were interested in the Eastern religions and Eastern masters.
Wow.
So I grew up somehow with untypical influences in our culture.
Has your concept of God changed since you were young?
Yes.
In what ways?
Well, the concept was not so clear. It was more a hard belief. But I think that maybe also a constant power, the constant fragrance that through all my life, and then there was also a dark period in my life, and when my father dies and my mother has to go to work, I'm the only son, so there was lots of darkness in my life. I read Steppenwolf from Hermann Hesse, for example, and I find myself in that quality somehow.
Interesting, because my grandparents were Baptists, but my father was brought up on his side as a Mormon. But both my mother, who was raised as a Baptist, my father, who was raised as a Mormon, absolutely rebelled against their religions and their church. Thank goodness, because they were both incredibly creative people, and they really went out and did their own. Got into their own stuff. And so I was brought up not as an atheist at all, but I suppose I was brought up to have an appreciation of most beliefs, all beliefs really, and just to see, to see the truth in each of them. Yeah.
I did the normal things, like I was baptized and was expected to go what we call Sunday school.
And what religion was that?
Church of England.
Okay. And did you believe in God then?
I didn't know, I wasn't sure.
Yeah.
I guess right at the beginning, it's a done thing, I think, to teach your children to believe. Therefore, you started to believe. But then, I guess quite early on, I started to question, well, how can this be? How can this person do everything for everybody?
When did that start changing for you?
What sort of age you mean?
Yeah.
I guess around early teens. I only went for Sunday school for a very short time. Mainly it was something to do on a Sunday afternoon, but I soon got bored with going.
And when you were younger, did you believe in God?
No.
Oh, you never have, so it's never changed?
No, my parents haven't taught me anything about that. We're not religious from back home. So...
Were you raised a certain religion?
No, not really. I mean, there was a certain... my mother taught me a certain respect of life in general, but I was not brought up in a religious way.
Has your belief in God changed through the years, from, let's say, when you were a child to now?
Yes, it has. I think one of the first experiences was when I worked with handicapped children. I still regard them as my first teachers. And at that time I really felt a lot of dignity and respect and honor of children who maybe their IQ was not so high, you couldn't measure it, but I discovered a certain intelligence and a certain appearance. It's very, very hard to say what it really is, but I found with this so-called handicapped children, very often I found they're superior to so-called normal people. So in working with them, this was really
a challenge and changing opinions and now I think I find certainly since I've been almost killed a few times in life, and each time I survived it, it brought me closer to maybe the divine or to God or whatever, however you may call it, but I could also say it brought me closer to myself. So there's something very mystic about it. And the more I think about it, the more I talk about it, not necessarily it comes closer, sometimes it also it goes away. Huh?
Sure. You're a little boy, a young and...
Yes, then I was a so-called Christian.
I see.
So,
and now you are not a Christian.
I believe in God.
Yeah.
So, but when you believe in God doesn't mean that you are a Christian. So they have to find out another name for people who believe in God.
I like it.
Yes.
Raised in a really bizarre religion, or a very bizarre cult, actually. And if we had 10 years, I could explain the whole story. But yeah.
Is there a name of that?
Well, it was a group called the SES, the School of Economic Science, which sprung up in the 70s in London. And my parents were members of it, early 70s, late 60s. And then this group grew and grew and grew, very hierarchical, very capitalistic. They became extremely wealthy. They bought several old rundown estates, English estates, and then they farmed everybody in to fix them up, and so does the roof, and so, and you had to give a portion of your income to this establishment every year, and it grew, it thrived. It's now absolutely international, and a few years after its birth, they set up a school for children. So I was in that school for 12 years.
And did you believe in? I guess they have a concept of God.
Yeah, they had a concept of God, but there was a mishmash of different concepts because they were pretty keen to appear to be a very fine and almost austere Victorian educational establishment for young women and gentlemen. So they had this very Victorian way of looking at education, but their philosophy was Eastern.
Oh.
So their philosophies came from a guru in India. And somebody, the head of the organisation, would travel there every year, or every 3 months or so, and come back with a whole load more material, and that would be taught, and that would be discussed.
Did you believe in God when you were a child?
I would say nothing's really changed. I believed in the same way that I believe now, that there is something within me and something outside of me which is so great that I can't even begin to conceptualize or to say, well, this is this. I don't even want to go to a place where I have to say, oh, well, I've got it all nailed and sussed, and I know what he looks like, and I know exactly how, and I know what his name is, and I know it fits into this faith or that faith. And I totally appreciate everybody's way of dealing with needing to, or wanting to, or just it being for them, whatever it is, whether it's Jesus, whether it's Allah, whatever it is. That's totally cool. But for me, I can't go there. It doesn't feel right for me.
Okay, my beliefs since I was a little girl have changed. My beliefs since I was a little girl have changed. They have changed in different ways, because when I was a little girl, I didn't know or realize. I didn't realize as much as I do now. When I was a little girl, I didn't understand, or more like I didn't feel, or feel the real depth of the true meaning of it. You get what I mean? As I grew up, I came to realize what truly is the real meaning of believing in God.
And what is that? What is that true meaning that you've discovered?
Well, in the many different ways that it can work in your life. in the many different ways, that the connection between you and God really is to you, and how it will help you if it is really true, if it's really real. Like when I was young, I was told, okay, God is your best friend, or he'll always be there for you. But I never really thought about it. As I grew up, I thought about it more, and it became more of a real meaning to me. Yeah.
So now in your life, God plays a very important part in your life, right?
Yeah, exactly. Whereas when I was young, I didn't pay much attention to that. We would just have the traditions of prayer, or of reading the Bible, or reading the material, but it didn't speak its meaning to me until I matured and I thought about it more, and then I realized its true meaning.
Probably more, yeah. Yeah.
And when did those beliefs change for you?
It's difficult. Maybe when I got older, I started thinking about certain things. I certainly, because everyone who believes is believing in his own God or Allah or Jehovah or whatever. And Indians believe in the sun and dance to the moon maybe, or sing to the trees. And a Christian cannot, how to say this, goedkeuren, approve it. A Christian cannot approve it, and an Indian worshipping the sun or the nature. But who says who's right, who's wrong? There's nobody absolutely sure. So that's quite difficult. If you believe, what do you have to believe? You have to believe blindly what your parents tell you that you should believe, and which is real and which is the one and only authentic religion, or so I don't know when. But I don't know exactly when my belief started to fade. It's not an overnight change, but I think I started to grow more skeptical in the years. I don't know.
I grew up in a Christian family. My father is a pastor, a reverend. So as a child, if I want to look back, I only see that as I grew up, from my personal experience, I started seeing trying to see the reality of life, in the sense that I never believe, I never see the differences in human beings. But as I grew up, I started seeing that I cannot play with this child. I can only play with this child. I cannot go to this house. I can only go to this house. So I started questioning, as a child, that why must I be able to go freely with this person, but I cannot go freely with this person? So growing up in that kind of environment, you understand, my eyes were opening. I will never forget my first experience of difference in people, in human beings. As I grew up, I experienced, because I'm from the Christian family, so the concept of God is from the biblical point of view. As a child, I think personally, I see myself as a probist. I don't know how to put it. I inquire. I like looking for things, searching, thinking. Personally, I rationalize. Think, why is this? Why should this be? Why must this come? Why is this? So as I grew up, I started questioning so many concepts individually, because I started questioning the Bible. I started asking my father questions that he cannot answer. So many questions that I remember there are times he called me personally and asked me, what do I want? He started questioning me because I had this idea of questioning things. I see so many evils around me, and I wonder if you process or you profess that, okay, love your neighbor as yourself. That's the doctrine of Christianity, which is the doctrine of Christ. Why then do you discriminate? Why then do you, assimilate, do you oppress other people? Or then do you force people to be what they don't want to be? So now, I now go back and I found out that why do they bring Christianity to Africa? Why did they tell us to love them, but they hate us? Because I'm a black man, I'm an African. I'm a human being that has the right to exist on this planet Earth. Why must you feel that I should not exist? And in the contrary, you profess to me that you are the good one. You are the chosen one. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
So that is to show that it was supposed to be the opposite.
Mm-hmm.
Something contrary. The foregoing that I've just said, summing up many of these beliefs and this religion, Christian, Islam and the rest. So I now said, okay, they told us to discard our own religious belief. So I now said, let me go back and seek and look at the concept and the principles of the African religion belief. And going back to it, I now started seeing so many things that we were never taught in school. They were told they are evil. In the African belief, I now found out that the visitor is given priority. Somebody you never knew before. Somebody you've never met before. The first thing you give him is hospitality. And that is more than love your neighbor as yourself. I now found out that the African respects even the ground that he walks on.
Mm-hmm.
He gives regard to the plant
Mm-hmm.
that he eats. He gives regards to the mountains. He gives regards to the sky, to the birds, to the animals in the forest. He gives regards to everything that is around him. I now see that if he gives regard to everything that is around him, that is purity and that is righteousness. That means the African concept of religion or godliness is true. In this way, I say yes, I want to be an African. And that is why I sum it up and says that now I'm going to seek for my root. There's no God. My God is not in the God of the Bible. My God is not in the God of the Quran, neither the Kabbalah. But my God is in the God of an African. Because that African belief comes out of respect for humanity. So, and that respect I see is utmost peace.
I think there are quantities of gods. If you think of the gods of, for example, two countries, Peru and Japan, they both have, this is just an example, the sun and the moon as the gods. In Peru, the sun is the man, the moon, the woman. It's the other way around in Japan, where the sun is the perfect lady and the moon, male. this makes me thinking. Myself, I was brought up as a Roman Catholic, and I never found out who this God was. All these people behind me as an altar boy were praying to. Very strange texts that went up in smoke. And yeah, as a teenager I stopped my Roman Catholic believing because I couldn't find this God. And starting traveling, I found these gods in Peru, in Japan, and later in Africa. There are even more mysterious gods.
When I was kid, I was very, wild kid. So I had some accident.
You had a what? I'm sorry.
Some accident.
Oh, you had an accident.
And maybe big illness, and but 3 times I saved my life. Almost I was dying, but I survived. That I think by help of God or my grandmom, already he died or she died, maybe that is helping.
Mm. So your beliefs haven't changed so much from when you were a little girl to now. And
no, I was raised by 2 Jewish parents who both, for their own reasons, didn't want to have anything to do with Judaism anymore. One who had been he had unpleasant experiences and associations throughout his childhood with Judaism, being discriminated against even as an adult. And my mother, who survived the Holocaust but lost the rest of her family, both of them really had they didn't want to pass that on per se to their children. At the same time, we grew up very much aware that we were Jewish, if not religiously, then at least ethnically. And Judaism is a peculiar religion in that, to a certain extent, your ethnicity determines your religion. Ultimately, having been raised basically without a religion resulted in 3 children who pretty much have nothing to do with either synagogue or church. And the last 2, my brother and I, are now both very involved with synagogues. And I think we're still searching.
Of course, I was a Muslim, and since 1 year I deserted Islam completely because it was very dehumanizing, and for me, because it didn't allow me to love myself because I'm gay, because there was always that harsh God, and the example of a prophet who is very macho, who was married to 9 women, who has all his sexual rights and enjoyed them to the most, and now he doesn't want me to love, to give myself the chance to love naturally, just as God created me. So it was very unfair, first to myself, to go on with that kind of torture, that would be very masochistic, to follow a religion that hates me, simply like that. And for other human reasons too, like people bombing themselves and killing other people in the name of God because they will go to heaven. How God can reward evil? How can God reward the killing of innocent people? Why? Why should they? And another thing, because I have a lot of Christian friends, yesterday I met a wonderful Jewish man. He was so warm, so nice, so human, so family. So why should I hate other people just because they follow another sect or another religion? Because my prophet or my former religion told me so. It's unfair. It's unfair to prevent myself and not allowing myself to have the chance of love and interacting and feel human with other humans.
I don't think that I really had a belief when I was young, because my parents, we never
really were involved with going to church, and my parents, in their own ways, I think are spiritual people, very personal, but they never discussed that with us as children, or never, it was never brought forth in our growing up. But what I did have that was really important for me was a very deep contact with nature, and very beautiful area of the United States, in the mountains, in the west of America. And there the nature is so pure, and especially when I was growing up as a child 40 years ago, I think that connection with just the power and the vastness and the purity of amazing natural landscapes, that had a deep impact on me, and I think that really formed in a lot of ways my vision of what that energy is. So in a sense, no, but in another sense, yes. Yeah.